Captain Jake Morrison stood in the middle of the bridge of his ship, the USS Defiant. His hands were placed firmly on the metal railing as he stared at the big screen in front of him. The screen showed something that made his stomach feel heavy. Another star system was completely destroyed. Nothing was left but broken pieces of metal and rock floating in the darkness of space. The Verkari Shadow Fleet had done this. They had been attacking planets and space stations for 3 long years now. Nobody knew where they came from or what they wanted. All anyone knew was that when their black ships appeared, everything died. Jake had seen the reports from other ship captains. The Shadow Fleet would arrive without warning. Their ships were huge and dark, like pieces of the night sky that had come alive. They would attack quickly and then disappear just as fast. No one had ever survived a direct fight with them. The bridge of the Defiant was quiet except for the soft humming of the computers. Jake's crew was working at their stations, but he could feel their worry. Everyone in the galaxy was scared of the Shadow Fleet. Even the strongest military forces had been defeated by them. Lieutenant Amy Johnson sat at the communications station. She was young, maybe 25 years old, with short brown hair and bright blue eyes. She had been with Jake's crew for 2 years and was one of the best communication officers in the human fleet. Amy turned her chair around to face the captain. "Sir, we are getting emergency signals from the Proxima colony," she said. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the concern in it. "The Shadow Fleet has been spotted moving toward their system." Jake felt his jaw tighten. Proxima Colony was home to nearly 2 million people. It was a peaceful place where families lived and worked. They had farms and schools and hospitals. The thought of the Shadow Fleet destroying all of that made him angry. "How long until they reach Proxima?" Jake asked. Amy checked her computer screen. "About 6 hours, sir. The colony is asking for help, but the nearest Alliance fleet is 3 weeks away." Jake looked around at his crew. Chief Engineer Pete Collins was a big man with gray hair and strong hands. He had been fixing starships for 30 years and knew more about engines than anyone Jake had ever met. Pete looked up from the station and nodded at the captain. His face was serious, but Jake could see determination in his eyes. At the tactical station sat Officer Lisa Martinez. She was small but tough, with black hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. Lisa had grown up on a military base and had been training to fight since she was a child. She knew every weapon system on the Defiant and could hit targets that other officers could not even see. "Sir," Lisa said, "our ship is fast, but we are only one vessel. The reports say the Shadow Fleet travels in groups of 10 or 12 ships. Each of their ships is huge, much bigger than ours." Jake nodded. He knew the odds were bad. The Defiant was a good ship, but it was new and untested. The human fleet had built it with experimental technology that had never been used in real combat. The shields were stronger than normal, and the weapons were more powerful, but nobody knew if they would work against the Shadow Fleet. "What do we know about their attack patterns?" Jake asked. Lisa pulled up information on her screen. "They always attack the same way, sir. They come in fast, destroy all the defensive systems first, then take everything valuable from the planet. They strip away all the metal, fuel, and anything else they can use. After that, they usually destroy what is left." "How long does it take them to completely destroy a colony?" Jake asked. "About 12 hours for a place the size of Proxima Colony," Lisa answered. Jake walked over to the big window that looked out into space. The stars were beautiful, but he knew that behind that beauty was danger. The Shadow Fleet was out there, somewhere, moving toward innocent people who could not defend themselves. Commander Susan Blake stood up from her chair. She was Jake's second in command and had been his friend for many years. Susan was smart and careful, always thinking about the safety of the crew. She had short blonde hair and green eyes that seemed to see everything. "Jake," she said quietly, "we all know what you are thinking. But sending one ship against the Shadow Fleet is suicide. We need to think about this carefully." Jake turned to face her. "Susan, those are 2 million people, families, children. If we do nothing, they will all die." "I know," Susan replied. But if we get ourselves killed, we cannot help anyone. Maybe we should contact the other human ships and wait for backup. There is no time for backup, Jake said. By the time other ships arrive, Proxima Colony will be gone, P. Collins spoke up from his station. Captain, I have been working on the new shield systems. I think they might be able to protect us better than the old ones. The new technology uses a different kind of energy field. It might be able to stop their weapons. Might is not good enough, Susan said. We need to be sure. Jake walked back to the center of the bridge. He had been a starship captain for 15 years. He had fought pirates and hostile aliens. He had saved colonies and protected trade routes. But he had never faced anything like the Shadow Fleet. Amy, he said, send a message to Proxima Colony. Tell them we are coming. Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls. Message sent. Sir? Lisa, I want you to study everything we know about the Shadow Fleet. Look for weaknesses, patterns, anything that might help us. Yes, sir, Lisa replied. Pete, I want those new shields ready for combat. Check every system twice. Already on it, Captain, Pete said. Jake looked at Susan. I know you think this is crazy, but sometimes you have to do what is right, even when it is dangerous. Susan sighed. I know. That is why I follow you, Jake. You never give up on people. Set. Course for the Proxima system, Jake ordered. Maximum speed. The Defiant turned in space and began moving toward the Proxima Colony. The ship's engines glowed bright blue as it accelerated. Jake stood on the bridge, watching the stars streak past the windows. He knew that in a few hours, his ship would face the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. The crew worked quietly at their stations, preparing for battle. Everyone knew this might be their last mission. The Shadow Fleet had never been defeated. They had destroyed entire civilizations and made the galaxy tremble with fear. But Jake Morrison was not afraid. He was angry. Angry at the Shadow Fleet for terrorizing innocent people. Angry at the galaxy for being too scared to fight back. And he was determined to show everyone that humans did not run from bullies. As the Defiant raced through space toward Proxima Colony, Jake made a promise to himself. One way or another, the Shadow Fleet's reign of terror would end. Even if it meant sacrificing his ship and crew, he would not let them destroy another innocent world. The stars continued to streak past the windows as the human ship moved closer to its destiny. Soon, the Shadow Fleet would learn that some people refuse to be frightened. Some people fight back, no matter how bad the odds are. The USS Defiant was about to make history. The USS Defiant dropped out of warp speed at the edge of the Proxima system. Captain Jake Morrison felt his heart sink as he looked at the main screen. What he saw there would stay with him for the rest of his life: 12 massive black ships, hung in space like dark clouds. Each ship was at least 3 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide. They moved slowly through space, but there was something terrible about the way they moved. They were silent and graceful. Like giant predators hunting their prey, the Shadow Fleet had already begun attacking Proxima Colony. Green beams of energy shot down from their ships toward the planet below. Each beam was as thick as a building and bright enough to light up the darkness of space. When the beams hit the planet's surface, huge explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. My God, whispered Chief Engineer Pete Collins. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale with shock. Look at the size of those things. They are like floating cities. Jake stood behind Pete and looked at the readings on his screen. The numbers were frightening. Each Shadow Fleet ship was 10 times bigger than the Defiant. Their energy output was beyond anything the human fleet had ever seen. It was like comparing a candle to the sun. Lieutenant Amy Johnson turned around in her chair. Her face was white with fear, but her voice was steady. Sir, we are receiving distress calls from the planet. The colonists are begging for help. They say their defense systems are failing. Jake could hear the panic in the radio messages coming from Proxima Colony. Voices were screaming about explosions and fires. Children were crying. People were running for their lives. The Shadow Fleet was destroying everything they had built. How long have they been attacking? Jake asked. About 2 hours, sir, Amy replied. The colony's shields are down to 30%. Their weapons are barely scratching the enemy ships. Officer Lisa Martinez was studying the tactical display. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls as she gathered information about the Shadow Fleet. Sir, I am reading their ship configurations. These vessels are not like anything in our databases. Their hull materials seem to absorb our sensor beams. I can barely get readings on their internal systems. Jake walked closer to the main screen. The Shadow Fleet ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. Their hulls were perfectly black, so dark that they seemed to swallow light. Strange symbols glowed along their sides with a soft green light. The ships had no visible weapons, but the deadly energy beams were coming from somewhere. Where are their weapons? Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. I cannot tell, sir. The energy beams seem to come from multiple points along their hulls. It is like the entire ship is one giant weapon. Commander Susan Blake stood next to Jake, watching the attack on the colony. Her face was grim. Jake, we need to do something. Those people down there are dying. Jake knew she was right, but he also knew that rushing in blindly would only get his crew killed. The Shadow Fleet ships were too big and too powerful for a direct attack. He needed to think of something else. Pete, what can you tell me about their energy signatures? Jake asked. Pete studied his instruments. Their power levels are incredible, sir. But there is something strange about the way they generate energy. It is not like our fusion reactors or antimatter engines. This is something completely different. Different how? Jake asked. It is hard to explain, sir. The energy seems to flow in patterns, like it is alive. And there are gaps in the power flow, small ones, but they are there. Jake felt a small spark of hope. If there were gaps in their power systems, maybe there were weaknesses too? Can you track those gaps? I am trying, sir, but their ships are so far away. If we could get closer, I might be able to learn more. Susan grabbed Jake's arm. Jake, you are not thinking about getting closer to those monsters, are you? Jake looked at her. We came here to help those people. We cannot do that from the edge of the system. But if we move closer, they will see us, Susan said. And when they see us, they will attack. Maybe, Jake said. Or maybe they will ignore us. We are just one small ship. They might think we are not worth their attention. Lisa looked up from her station. Sir, I am detecting something strange. The Shadow Fleet ships are not moving randomly. They are following a pattern. Each ship attacks specific targets in a specific order. Jake walked over to her station. Show me, Lisa pointed to her screen. The display showed the positions of all 12 Shadow Fleet ships. Red lines connected each ship to the targets they were attacking. See, sir? Ship number 1 attacks the military bases first. Ship number 2 targets the power plants. Ship number 3 goes after the communication centers. They are working together like parts of a machine. Jake studied the pattern. It was almost like watching a dance, but a dance of death. Each ship had a specific job to do, and they were doing it with mechanical precision. That is very organized. Jake said, almost too organized. What do you mean? Susan asked. I mean, they are not adapting to what the colonists are doing. They're just following their plan, step by step. They are not thinking about what might go wrong. Pete looked up from his controls. Sir, I am getting more detailed readings on their power systems. The energy gaps I mentioned are getting bigger. It is like their ships are getting tired. Jake felt his heart beat faster. Tired? What do you mean? Their power output is dropping slightly. Not much, but it is happening. Maybe those energy beams take a lot of power to maintain. Amy turned around with new information. Sir, I am picking up communications between the Shadow Fleet ships. I cannot understand the language, but the signals are very regular, like they are reporting to each other every few minutes. Jake walked to the center of the bridge. An idea was forming in his mind. It was dangerous, maybe suicidal, but it might be their only chance. Amy, can you record those communications? Jake asked. Yes, sir. I have been recording them since we arrived. Good, Lisa. I want you to keep tracking their attack patterns. Look for anything that seems automatic or predictable. Pete, monitor their power levels. Tell me if those gaps get bigger. Susan, prepare the ship for close approach. We are going in. Susan stared at him. Jake, that is crazy. We will be flying right into the middle of 12 enemy ships. Not the middle, Jake said. The edge. We are going to watch them work. And while we watch, we are going to learn. The Defiant began moving deeper into the Proxima system. Jake ordered the crew to keep their weapons powered down and their shields at minimum. He did not want to appear threatening. He wanted to look like a small, harmless ship that was just trying to help Dot. As they moved closer to the battle, the Shadow Fleet ships became even more terrifying. Up close, Jake could see details that the long-range sensors had missed. The ships had strange curves and angles that hurt to look at. Their hulls seemed to shift and change in the light like they were made of liquid metal. Sir, Lisa said, I am detecting something new. The Shadow Fleet ships are not just attacking the colony. They are also sending down smaller ships to the planet's surface. Jake looked at the display. Dozens of small craft were descending from the big ships toward the planet. They were landing near the areas that had been destroyed by the energy beams. What are they doing down there? Jake asked. Pete checked his sensors. It looks like they are collecting things, sir. Metal, equipment, anything that survived the attack. They are scavenging, Jake said. They are taking whatever they can use. Susan looked at the display with disgust. They destroy everything and then steal the pieces. What kind of creatures are they? Jake did not answer immediately. He was thinking about what he had learned. The Shadow Fleet followed patterns. They got tired during long attacks. They collected resources after destroying their targets. And they seemed to work like machines rather than thinking beings. Amy, he said, I want you to send a message to the Shadow Fleet ships. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at him. Amy's mouth fell open. Sir? You want to talk to them? Yes, Jake said. I want to see how they react when someone tries to communicate with them. Record everything that happens. Amy's hands shook slightly as she worked her controls. What should I say, sir? Jake thought for a moment. Tell them we are here to help the colonists. Ask them to stop their attack. Sir, Susan said, that might make them angry. They might attack us. Maybe, Jake said. But we need to know how they think. Are they just destroyers, or is there something more to them? Amy sent the message on all frequencies. The bridge fell silent as everyone waited for a response. The Shadow Fleet ships continued their attack on the colony, but Jake noticed something. 3 of the ships had stopped firing and were turning toward the Defiant. Sir, Lisa said, 3 enemy ships are changing course. They are moving toward. Jake felt his pulse quicken. How fast are they moving? Slowly, sir, they are not rushing. It is like they are being careful. Interesting, Jake said. They are not just attacking blindly. They are thinking about this. The 3 Shadow Fleet ships moved closer to the Defiant. As they approached, Jake could see that they were even bigger than he had thought. Each ship was like a black mountain, floating in space. Amy, Jake said, are you getting any response to our message? Yes, sir, something is coming through now. The main screen flickered and then filled with an image that made everyone gasp. A tall, thin creature appeared on the screen. The pale creature on the screen stared at Captain Jake Morrison with those terrible black eyes. Its voice was cold and empty when it spoke again. Humans do not run. How interesting. We have encountered your species before. They always run. They always die. Jake felt a chill go down his spine, but he kept his voice steady. Maybe you met the wrong humans. The creature made a sound that might have been laughter, but it was like the sound of breaking glass. There are no right humans. There are only dead humans and soon-to-be dead humans. Which are you? Neither, Jake said firmly. We are here to protect the people of Proxima Colony. Leave now and no one else has to die. The creature's image flickered on the screen. You threaten us? One tiny ship threatens the Shadow Fleet? Your foolishness is almost amusing. Behind the creature, Jake could see the dark interior of the Shadow Fleet ship. Strange lights pulsed along the walls, and he could hear sounds like whispers in an unknown language. The whole place looked like something from a nightmare. "I am not threatening you," Jake said. "I am giving you a choice. Leave peacefully, or we will make you leave." The creature leaned forward, its pale face filling the screen. "You will make us leave? With what? Your small weapons? Your weak shields? We have destroyed civilizations that were 1,000 times stronger than you." Jake noticed something important. While the creature was talking to them, the attack on Proxima Colony had slowed down. The other Shadow Fleet ships were still firing, but not as fast as before. Some of them had stopped completely and were watching the conversation. "Lisa," Jake said quietly, "what is happening with their attack pattern?" Officer Lisa Martinez checked her instruments. "Sir, their coordination is breaking down. 3 ships are focused on us, and the other 9 are not working together as well as before." Jake felt a spark of hope. The Shadow Fleet's perfect teamwork was falling apart because of his interference. They were not as machine-like as he had thought. "You see," Jake said to the creature, "you are already losing. Your perfect attack has stopped. Your ships are confused. All because one human ship refused to run away." The creature's black eyes seemed to grow darker. "You know nothing of our power. We are the Vakari. We have brought silence to 10,000 worlds. Your noise will end like all the others." "The Vakari," Jake repeated. "Finally, a name. Tell me, Vakari, why do you destroy these worlds? What do you gain from all this death?" The creature was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was different, almost sad. "We bring order to chaos. We bring peace to the loud and violent. The galaxy is full of noise, full of conflict. We make it quiet." Jake felt his crew listening to every word. He was beginning to understand something important about their enemy. "You think you are bringing peace," Jake said. "But you are just, bringing death. There is a difference." "The Sith is the ultimate peace," the creature replied. "The dead do not fight. The dead do not make noise. The dead do not cause problems. The dead also do not love," Jake said. "They do not create, they do not hope, they do not dream. You are not bringing peace. You are bringing emptiness." The creature's image flickered again. "You speak of things that do not matter. Love, hope, dreams. These are weaknesses. We remove weaknesses." Jake walked closer to the screen. "No, those are strengths. That is why we do not run. We have people we love. We have dreams we want to protect. We have hope for a better future." "Hope is an illusion," the creature said. "Dreams are lies. Love is a chemical reaction in primitive brains." "If that is true," Jake said, "then why are you afraid of us?" The creature's pale face showed something that might have been surprise. "Afraid? We do not fear anything." "Then why are 3 of your ships pointing weapons at one small human vessel?" Jake asked. "Why did you stop attacking the colony to talk to us? Why are you trying so hard to convince us to leave?" The bridge of the Defiant was completely silent. Jake's crew watched as their captain faced down the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy with nothing but words. "We are not afraid," the creature said, but its voice was less certain now. "We are simply being efficient. It is easier to make you leave than to destroy you." "Easier?" Jake laughed. "You have 12 ships, each one bigger than a city. We have 1 ship with a crew of 43 people. If you are not afraid, then why not just destroy us and get it over with?" The creature did not answer immediately. Jake could see confusion in those black eyes. The Vakari was struggling with something it did not understand. "You are trying to make us angry," the creature finally said. "You want us to attack you in rage instead of with planning. It will not work." "I do not want you to attack us at all," Jake said. "I want you to leave. But I am curious about something. How many species have actually fought back against you?" "Many have fought," the creature said. "All have died." "No," Jake said. "I mean really fought back. Not just defended themselves, but actually challenged you, stood up to you." refused to be scared. The creature was quiet for a long time. When it spoke, its voice was barely above a whisper. Few? How few? Jake pressed. Very few. And what happened to those few? The creature's image began to fade slightly. They thought they were more difficult to defeat. Jake felt his heart racing. He was onto something important. Difficult how? They did not behave as expected, the creature said. They did not follow the patterns. They made our calculations wrong. Your calculations? Jake asked. What calculations? We study each target before we attack. We learn their weaknesses, their fears, their breaking points. We know exactly how they will respond to our presence. But some species do not respond as they should. Jake looked at his crew. They were all staring at him with amazement. He was getting the Shadow Fleet to reveal their secrets. Let me guess, Jake said. The species that do not respond as expected are the ones that do not run away. The creature nodded slowly. Yes, running is the expected response. Fear is the expected response. When a species does not run, when they do not show fear, our advantage is reduced. Reduced how much? Jake asked, significantly. Jake felt a surge of confidence. That is why you are afraid of us. Not because we are strong, but because we are unpredictable. You cannot calculate what we will do because we do not do what you expect. We are not afraid, the creature suddenly shouted. Its pale face was twisted with anger. We are the Verkari. We have ruled the darkness between stars for thousands of years. We do not fear primitive species like yours. Then prove it, Jake said calmly. Attack us. Show us this great power you keep talking about. The creature stared at him through the screen. Its black eyes seemed to be looking directly into Jake's soul. You want to die? I want to live, Jake said. But I am not willing to live in a galaxy where bullies like you can destroy innocent people without anyone fighting back. Bullies? The creature said. We are not bullies. We are cleaners. We remove the chaos and noise from the galaxy. By attacking defenseless colonies? Jake asked. By destroying people who cannot fight back? That sounds like bullying to me. The creature's image flickered with what looked like rage. We attack all who make noise. Strong and weak, it does not matter. Really? Jake said. Then why have you never attacked the Galactic Council's main fleet? Why do you only hit remote colonies and trade routes? Why do you run whenever a real military force shows up? The creature was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke, its voice was full of hate. You know nothing of our strategies. I know enough, Jake said. I know that you are scavengers, not warriors. I know that you pick on the weak because you cannot handle the strong. I know that you depend on fear because you cannot win fair fights. You will see how wrong you are, the creature said. We will show you true power. Good, Jake said. I have been waiting for that. The creature's image disappeared from the screen. Jake turned to his crew. Everyone was staring at him with a mixture of fear and admiration. Sir, Commander Susan Blake said, I think you just made them very angry. Jake smiled grimly. Good, angry enemies make mistakes. And we need them to make mistakes. What if they attack us? Amy asked. Then we fight, Jake said. But I do not think they will attack. Not yet. Why not? Lisa asked. Jake looked at the tactical display. The 3 Shadow Fleet ships were still pointing their weapons at the Defiant, but they had not fired. The other 9 ships had resumed their attack on the colony, but they were moving differently now. Their perfect coordination was gone. Because, Jake said, we just did something that has never been done before. We made the Shadow Fleet doubt themselves. And when predators start to doubt, they become prey. The bridge fell silent as everyone thought about what their captain had just said. Outside the viewports, the 3 massive Shadow Fleet ships hung in space like dark omens. But for the first time in 3 years, they were not attacking. They were waiting, and Jake Morrison knew that in that moment of hesitation, humanity had won its first victory against the Shadow Fleet. The three Shadow Fleet ships moved closer to the USS Defiant like giant black sharks circling their prey. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching as the enemy vessels took positions around his ship. They formed a triangle with the Defiant trapped in the middle. Each Vakari ship was enormous, blocking out the stars behind them. Their dark hulls reflected no light, making them look like holes cut in space itself. Strange green symbols pulsed along their sides, casting an eerie glow that made Jake's crew feel uneasy. "Sir," Officer Lisa Martinez said from her tactical station, "they have us surrounded. Their weapons are charged and ready to fire." Jake nodded but did not move from his position. He kept his hands clasped behind his back, staring straight ahead at the main screen. His calm appearance helped keep his crew steady, even though he could feel their fear. "How long since they stopped talking to us?" Jake asked. Lieutenant Amy Johnson checked her instruments. 15 minutes, sir. Complete radio silence since their commander cut the connection." "But they have not attacked," Commander Susan Blake observed. "Why are they waiting?" Jake had been thinking about the same question. The Vakari had superior firepower and numbers. They could destroy the Defiant in seconds if they wanted to. But instead, they were just sitting there, watching. "They are thinking," Jake said. "For the first time in years, they have encountered something that does not fit their plans. They do not know what to do with us." Chief Engineer Pete Collins looked up from his station. "Sir, I am reading massive energy buildups in all three ships. Whatever they are planning, they are getting ready for it." Jake felt his heart rate increase, but he kept his voice calm. "How massive?" "Enough to vaporize our ship 10 times over," Pete replied. "But sir, there is something strange about the energy patterns. They are not steady. The power levels keep fluctuating." "Fluctuating how?" Jake asked. "It is like they are hesitating," Pete said. "The energy builds up, then drops, then builds up again. I have never seen anything like it." Jake walked over to Pete's station and looked at the readings. The energy signatures from the three Vakari ships showed a pattern that looked almost like a heartbeat. Up and down, never quite reaching the point where the weapons would fire. "They are arguing," Jake said suddenly. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at him. Susan frowned. "Arguing? About what?" "About us," Jake said. "About what?" "To do with a ship that will not run away. This has never happened to them before. They are not sure how to handle it." Amy's console beeped with an incoming transmission. "Sir, we are receiving another communication from the Shadow Fleet." "Put it on screen," Jake ordered. The main display showed the same pale creature from before, but now it looked different. Its black eyes seemed less certain, and there were other Vakari visible in the background. They appeared to be talking to each other in their strange, whispering language. "Human Captain," the creature said, "we have discussed your situation. You have been given a chance to leave. You have refused. Now you will face the consequences." "What consequences?" Jake asked. "You have been threatening us for 20 minutes, but you have not done anything. Are you waiting for permission from someone?" The creature's pale face showed anger. "We do not need permission. We are the Shadow Fleet. We destroy what we choose to destroy. Then why am I still alive?" Jake asked simply. The question hung in the air like a challenge. The creature opened its mouth to answer, then closed it again. Behind it, the other Vakari were moving around frantically, their whispered voices growing louder. "Because the creature finally said, we are deciding the best way to make an example of you. Your death must serve a purpose." Jake laughed, and the sound seemed to surprise the Vakari. "You are not deciding how to kill me. You are deciding whether you can kill me without proving that I was right about you." "Right about what?" the creature demanded. "That you are cowards," Jake said. "That you only attack the weak and the frightened. That when someone stands up to you, you do not know what to do." The creature's image flickered with rage. "We are not cowards. We have conquered thousands of worlds. We have brought silence to entire star systems. Empty worlds," Jake said. "Dead systems. You are like vultures picking at corpses. But when you meet something that is still alive and fighting, you hesitate. We do not hesitate, the creature shouted. Then fire, Jake said quietly. End this conversation. Destroy my ship. Prove your power. The bridge of the Defiant became completely silent. Jake's crew held their breath as they waited to see what would happen. The energy readings from the 3 Vakari ships spiked higher than ever before, but the weapons did not fire. You see, Jake said, you cannot do it. Not because you lack the power, but because you know that the moment you attack, you prove that we are not afraid of you. And if we are not afraid, then maybe others will stop being afraid too. The creature's pale hands were shaking. You do not understand what you are dealing with. We are ancient. We are powerful. We have technologies that your primitive minds cannot comprehend. Maybe, Jake said. But you know what we have that you do not? What? The creature asked. We have something worth fighting for, Jake said. Down on that planet are 2 million people living their lives, raising their families, building their futures. We will not let you take that away from them. The creature stared at Jake through the screen. Sentiment? Weakness? These things make you vulnerable? No, Jake said. These things make us strong. Strong enough to stand here talking to you instead of running away. Strong enough to face 12 of your ships with just one of ours. Pete Collins spoke up from his station. Sir, the energy fluctuations in their ships are getting worse. It is. Like their systems are fighting against each other. Jake looked at the readings. Pete was right. The power levels in the 3 Vakari ships were becoming more unstable by the minute. What is happening to your ships? Jake asked the creature. The creature glanced away from the screen for a moment, and Jake could hear urgent whispers in the background. When it looked back, its black eyes seemed worried. Nothing is happening, the creature said, but its voice lacked conviction. Our ships are functioning perfectly. Are they? Jake asked. Because my engineer is reading massive power instabilities in all 3 vessels. It looks like your weapon systems are overloading. The creature's image began to flicker more frequently. Impossible. Our technology is superior to yours in every way. Your technology might be superior, Jake said, but your operators are confused. You have been trying to fire your weapons for 20 minutes, but you keep stopping yourselves. Your systems are not designed to handle that kind of indecision. Lisa looked up from her tactical display. Sir, he is right. The Vakari ships are showing signs of system strain. Their weapons are cycling on and off repeatedly. If they keep this up, they might damage their own systems. Jake felt a surge of hope. The Shadow Fleet's greatest weakness was becoming clear. They were not used to uncertainty. Their entire strategy depended on quick, decisive action. When that strategy failed, their technology failed with it. You want to know what I think? Jake said to the creature on the screen. I think you are more afraid of us than we are of you. Afraid? The creature hissed. We do not know fear. Then prove it, Jake said. Stop talking and start shooting. Show me this great power you keep bragging about. The creature's pale face was twisted with fury and confusion. You want to die? You are asking us to kill you? I am asking you to stop pretending, Jake said. Either you are the terrible destroyers you claim to be, or you are just bullies who run away when someone fights back. Which is it? The creature looked away from the screen again. Jake could hear more urgent whispers, and now the voices sounded almost panicked. When the creature looked back, its black eyes were filled with something that looked very much like fear. We are the Vakari, it said, but its voice was weak now. We bring order to chaos. No, Jake said firmly. You bring chaos to order. You destroy peaceful worlds and call it justice. You murder innocent people and call it necessary. But you know what? Your reign of terror ends today. How? The creature asked. You are 1 ship. We are 3. Soon there will be 12 when the others finish with the colony. Jake smiled, and there was steel in his voice when he answered. Because word of this conversation will spread across the galaxy. Every species will learn that the mighty Shadow Fleet spent 20 minutes afraid to attack 1 human ship. Every world will know that you can be faced down, that you can be stopped. The creature's image was flickering constantly now. That will not happen. When you are dead, no one will know what occurred here. Will I be dead? Jake asked. You have been trying to kill me for almost half an hour now. When exactly are you planning to succeed? The creature opened its mouth to reply, but no words came out. For the first time in the conversation, it had nothing to say. Jake pressed his advantage. Here is what is going to happen. You are going to leave this system. You are going to tell your fleet to withdraw. And you are never going to attack an innocent world again. Never, the creature whispered. Yes, Jake said. Because every time you try, someone like me will be there to stop you, and we will not run. We will not hide. We will stand and fight, no matter what the odds are. The three Shadow Fleet ships continued to back away from the USS Defiant. Captain Jake Morrison watched on the main screen as the massive black vessels moved slowly through space, their weapons no longer pointed at his ship. Sir, Officer Lisa Martinez said from her tactical station, the Vakari ships are retreating. Their energy signatures are dropping to normal levels. Jake felt a mixture of relief and amazement. For the first time in 3 years, Shadow Fleet ships were running away from a fight. But he knew this was not over yet. What about the other 9 ships? Jake asked. The ones attacking the colony? Amy Johnson checked her communications board. Sir, something strange is happening. The attack on Proxima Colony has stopped completely. All 9 ships have ceased firing. Jake walked to the center of the bridge. Stopped? Why would they stop? I think they are receiving new orders, Amy said. I am picking up a lot of communication traffic between all 12 ships. The signals are very intense. Commander Susan Blake looked at the tactical display with confusion. Jake, what did you do? How did you make them stop attacking? Jake thought about the conversation he had just finished with the Vakari commander. The creature had been afraid, confused, and uncertain. It had never dealt with an enemy that refused to run away. I think, Jake said slowly, we just broke their system. What do you mean? Susan asked. The Shadow Fleet works like a machine. Jake explained. They follow patterns, make calculations, and expect certain responses. When someone does not respond the way they expect, their whole system fails. Chief Engineer Pete Collins looked up from his instruments. Sir, the energy readings from all 12 ships are very unstable now. It is like their computers are trying to process something they cannot understand. Jake nodded. Exactly. We did something that has never been done before. We stood our ground. We refused to be afraid. And now their entire strategy is falling. Apart, the main screen flickered and the pale Vakari commander appeared again, but this time it looked different. Its black eyes were wide with what could only be described as panic. Behind it, Jake could see other Vakari moving frantically around their ship's bridge. Human captain, the creature said. We need to speak. I am listening, Jake said calmly. The creature seemed to struggle with its words. Your actions today have created ... complications. What kind of complications? Jake asked. Our fleet operates according to precise calculations, the creature explained. We study each target, determine the optimal strategy, and execute our plans with perfect efficiency, but you have done something that was not calculated. Jake smiled slightly. I stood up to you, yes, the creature said. And now our systems cannot process what to do next. When a target does not flee, when it does not show fear, our protocols have no response. So what happens now? Jake asked. The creature looked away from the screen for a moment. When it looked back, its voice was quieter than before. We must withdraw. Jake felt his heart leap, but he kept his expression calm. Withdraw? Why? Because, the creature said, continuing this engagement would require us to adapt our tactics. But we do not know how to adapt. We only know how to follow the established patterns. Let me understand this correctly, Jake said. You are one of the most feared forces in the galaxy, but you cannot handle one ship that refuses to run away. The creature's pale face showed embarrassment. We are not warriors, as you understand the term. We are collectors. We take resources from worlds that have already been weakened by fear and chaos. Jake stared at the screen. You are scavengers. Yes, the creature admitted. We wait for civilizations to become weak, then we harvest what remains. We do not fight wars, we clean up after wars. But the reports, Susan said. Entire fleets destroyed. Planets devastated. The creature's black eyes looked ashamed. Those fleets were already damaged by civil wars and conflicts. Those planets were already dying from disease and famine. We simply finished what had already begun. Jake felt pieces of a puzzle falling into place. You never actually conquered anyone. You just showed up after they were already defeated, and took credit for their destruction. The fear we inspired was real, the creature said defensively. That fear prevented many wars, stopped much suffering. No, Jake said firmly. That fear caused suffering. Civilizations destroyed themselves rather than face you. They gave up hope. They stopped trying to solve their problems because they thought you would come eventually anyway. The creature was quiet for a long moment. Perhaps, it finally said. Amy turned from her station. Sir, I am receiving a transmission from Proxima Colony. They are reporting that all Shadow Fleet ships are withdrawing from their system. Jake looked at the tactical display. The 9 ships that had been attacking the colony were indeed moving away from the planet. They were joining the 3 ships that had been facing the Defiant. Why are you leaving? Jake asked the creature. Because you have shown the galaxy something that will destroy us, the creature replied. You have shown that we can be faced, that we can be challenged, that we are not the unstoppable force we pretended to be. And that scares you? Yes, the creature admitted. If word of this spreads, if other species learn that one human ship made us retreat, then our power will be broken. No one will fear us anymore. Jake realized that this was exactly what he had hoped for. Good, the galaxy should not live in fear of anyone. You do not understand, the creature said. Without fear, there will be chaos. Species will fight each other. Wars will spread across the stars. We brought peace through terror. You brought silence through murder, Jake corrected. That is not peace. Real peace comes from cooperation, understanding, and mutual respect, not from fear. The creature shook its head. Your species is too young to understand. You have not seen the galaxy tear itself apart with endless conflicts? Maybe not, Jake said. But we have seen what happens when good people stand up to bullies, when someone says no to tyranny, when courage defeats fear. The creature stared at Jake for a long time. What happens now, human captain? What do you intend to do with this victory? Jake thought about the question carefully. I intend to go home and tell everyone what happened here. I will tell them that the mighty Shadow Fleet ran away from one human ship. I will tell them that you are not the monsters you pretended to be. And then? The creature asked. And then the galaxy will be free, Jake said. Free from the fear you created. Free to grow and learn and explore without worrying about when you might appear. The creature's image began to fade. You have won this day, human, but victory comes with responsibility. The chaos that follows will be on your shoulders. No, Jake said. The peace that follows will be everyone's responsibility. That is how real civilizations work. The screen went black as the Vakari cut the transmission for the final time. Jake watched as all 12 Shadow Fleet ships gathered together and began moving toward the edge of the system. Sir, Lisa reported, they are jumping to hyperspace. All 12 ships are leaving the system. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Jake raised his hand for silence. This is not over, he said. What we did here today will spread across the galaxy. Other species will hear about it. Some will be inspired to stand up for themselves. Others might try to take advantage of the Shadow Fleet's weakness. What do we do? Susan asked. Jake looked out at the stars. We go home, we tell our story, and we get ready to help anyone who needs it. The galaxy is going to change, and we need to make sure it changes for the better. Pete Collins smiled from his station. Sir, we just ended a 3-year reign of terror with nothing but words and courage. I think we can handle whatever comes next, Jake nodded. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. We have news to deliver. As the Defiant turned toward home, Amy received a flood of communications from across the galaxy. Other ships had detected the Shadow Fleet's retreat. The news was already spreading. "Sir," Amy said, "we are getting messages from dozens of species. They all want to know what happened." "Here? Tell them the truth," Jake said. "Tell them that sometimes the greatest victories come not from fighting, but from simply refusing to give up." The USS Defiant left the Proxima system behind, carrying with it a message that would change the galaxy forever. The age of the Shadow Fleet was over, and did not by superior weapons or advanced technology, but by the simple human refusal to be afraid. 6 months later, Captain Jake Morrison stood before the Galactic Council, receiving the highest honors from species across the known galaxy. The Shadow Fleet had not been seen since the encounter at Proxima Colony, and intelligence reports suggested they had retreated to the furthest edges of the galaxy. "The lesson we learned," Jake told the assembled delegates, "is that courage is contagious. When one person stands up to a bully, others find the strength to stand up too. The Shadow Fleet ruled through fear, but fear only works if you let it." In the audience, representatives from hundreds of worlds listened to his words. Many of them had lived in terror of the Shadow Fleet for years. Now they were free to live without that fear. "Today marks the beginning of a new age," Jake continued. "An age where the galaxy is not ruled by terror but guided by hope. An age where different species work together instead of hiding from imaginary monsters.